What's going on YouTube and cryptocurrency family? My name is Harry and I'm the Crypto Vet. Thank you for tuning back in. A lot of new members in the Discord. Thank you guys. Anybody else who wants to join it, completely free. Links are in the description. We were able to make a pretty good call yesterday on a head and shoulders pattern, and I know somebody was able to sell at 32, buy back in at 28, and now it's back up to 30, and we're in a little bit of a pattern right now that we'll go over here in just a second. But if you haven't already, please hit the like, subscribe. This promotes crypto in general, not just me. Let's go ahead and get started. Here on CoinMarketCap, we see a little bit more red today. Everything's starting to correct slightly. Our biggest gainers right now look like we still have BitTorrent. We still have a lot of green on the board, just depending on what projects you're into right now. And then we also have some red. Some of the projects that had some big pumps came down just a little bit. See Stellar's up 121% on the week, but it's just correcting down 10%. This is the time to buy in my opinion. Again, I'm just a doctor/idiot. This is not financial advice. XRP's had a little bit of a drop, around 9%. And then Uniswap, another one that I hold since I got it free from the airdrop, is around 569. But let's go ahead and start it on Bitcoin. So early this morning, I went to sleep around 8 a.m. because I was watching this pump to see if it would go above. Well, we set a new high close to around $42,000, and this is on Bitstamp. It's going to vary on what exchanges you're on, but they're all within usually around $500. But right now, you can see that the daily candle that we closed yesterday is this almost like spinning top. We have more wick to the downside, which is, in my opinion, a little more bullish, but we still have a pretty decent wick here at the top. So right now, Bitcoin's at an indecision point. Doesn't know where it wants to go. Doesn't know if it wants to go up. Doesn't know where it wants to go down. And we're above a key Fibonacci level. We're at the 1.618 right here, and right above us up here at around 54,000 is the 2.618. So right now, the question is, where are we going to go? And I said in the video yesterday, I do think that we still have room to grow. You know, there's the potential of trillions of dollars being printed here in the U.S. So, you know, anything can happen. And if all that money gets printed as a hedge against inflation, a lot of people dump their money into Bitcoin. And today my girlfriend told me that she sees on Facebook a lot of her friends are buying into Bitcoin. So the retail investors are starting to heat up. So people who weren't just like deep down in crypto and buying it, now we have people who have never heard of it before getting on that Robinhood bug and starting to buy Bitcoin, right? And if institutions are buying and people are buying, what's going to happen if the demand goes up and the supply goes down? The price has to accommodate for it. So there's still a lot of room to grow. Now the question is, somebody with a bunch of money, a couple 100,000 Bitcoin, decides, I want to buy an island today, and they dump it, right? We can see these 20-30% corrections. And if we just zoom out here for a second, let's measure what a 30% correction, which is typically what we saw in the markets before, we'd be looking at a $28,000 Bitcoin, which is a $12,000 drop from where it is now. If we had a really bloody day and came down to the bottom of the the broadening wedge that we had before, we could see a 42% drop, which still puts us at above 20,000, sitting at around 23.1, and this was putting us directly on the 1 fib line on this trend-based Fibonacci. So, we're at a very dangerous point where we could see a bloody day or we could see a huge pump, and the more that we pump, the bigger the dump can be. You can see that we're still overextended on the RSI. We're at 88 here, 89, but we've gotten to 95 before. So now is the kind of time where I would say if you haven't taken profits and you bought in down here, take some profits, right? And if it keeps pumping and we get up to 50,000, when you do see that 10% correction, that may be the time to buy back in, and you just dollar cost average, right? But unrealized gains are completely worthless. You could have a trade going and it could be plus $4,000, but if you don't close it and it drops 10 minutes later, you didn't make shit, right? So always take profits and do everything that you feel safe with. All right, so if we zoom in to what's going on, this is on the 15 or 5 minute, and we are figuring out what's happening up here. And I'll zoom it out just a tad so you can kind of see. So we were in this uptrend here, and on this side you can tell that there would be these candles here. Actually, let me just zoom it out even more. Let's go to the hourly. So there, if we take a look at this section here and we zoom in, we can see that we were in an upwards ascending channel here, and initially we were actually in a tightening ascending wedge here, and these will typically break to the downside. And as you can see, every time we broke down, we were bought back up, came up, broke down, bought back up. But now with the buybacks, we have this ascending triangle forming, and then within this ascending channel, and within these ascending channels, we also have these little symmetrical triangles here. And when these symmetrical triangles get broken, it's typically when we will see an uptrend, right? So I have this drawn out here, and I'm watching it as I play video games and do stuff here throughout. And if Bitcoin can get above and solidify confirmation above around 40,900, 41,000, we could probably see another breakout, and it will just continue this ascending channel. So if we do confirm come up here, we could see a 8% move, which will bring us up to $43,000, $44,000. So something to look out for. But the second we break this bottom support here, we could see an even bigger dump, or we could see it find support in different key places. Like this ascending channel that it was in before it broke out, you can see that it has lots of confirmations as support now, where it was resistance here. So when it comes to this and trading Bitcoin, which I'm not doing right now, I'm just kind of waiting, but when I do trade Bitcoin, these are the things that I follow along with. I'll zoom in even more, and we can see when the trends are starting to split and flip. So right now we're technically in a little bit of a downtrend. If we don't find support here like we had previously, you know, maybe time to short it. If we come here and we find a little bit of a bounce, this would be the time to long, but I would get out of the trade somewhere up here. So we're talking, you know, $1,000 move. If you're using good leverage, you know, you can follow these patterns in and just accumulate. But that's where I think we're at for Bitcoin. It's really tough to decide whether it's going to go up or down because we're so overextended. Inside of me, I want it to go to the moon, but the rational trader in me is just saying this is most likely going to crash at some point. But to put that into perspective, I said that was going to happen right here, and we only crashed down to here, and I was getting ready to put in another short, and thankfully I didn't, because look what the fuck happened, right? So just be careful trading right now. There's the Biden administration coming in, plans to have good news for crypto here with Hester Pierce, and we have some pro-crypto individuals, so we could see some good news. All right, as far as XRP, XRP is what I was trading last night, where I was able to make a pretty good call, and thank you guys for going over that with me, and congrats to everyone who made some money. But we are following this pattern here, and we had our initial sell-off. We've been accumulating, we kind of rounded up, and we broke up, right? But where are we at now? If we zoom in here, we're forming a triangle, right? And in this triangle, we're getting towards the end, and this is on the 4 hours, so by tomorrow at some point, maybe, let's see, 1, 2, 3, so within the next 12 to 16 hours, XRP will make a decision. And if you look at what's happening here, you can see, and this is a 5-minute chart, we came up and we came down, and this was in the last 2 hours. Well, if we go over here to Bitcoin on the 5-minute chart, we went up and we came down. So right now, XRP is not really trading on its own. It's trading behind Bitcoin. So as its valuation compared to Bitcoin is going up and down, that's when we're seeing our moves. So once we see, in a sense, a small decouple where XRP is doing its own thing compared to Bitcoin, that's when it's a more prominent time to actually trade based off of this chart, right? Because if I'm trading here and I see that Bitcoin's going down, even if it looks like it's in a good spot here, you'll probably get kicked out of that trade just because XRP is still coupled to Bitcoin, and depending on what Bitcoin does, XRP is going to do. But right now we're forming this nice little symmetrical triangle. We are above the daily exponential moving average, and usually right after the daily close, pretty much always see, if it's really, really high up, I pretty much always see it come down to find support where it was before to confirm that that resistance is now support. And as you can see, 4 hours before, we had this nice hammer candle right here, came up, and we started the day off right here at 6 p.m. Central Time here in Texas. And we had a nice little pump up, but then we're coming down. So I would definitely expect that we're probably going to get down to close to around 30 cents just to confirm that this support is real here. And from there, if we continue to go down, I would say that we're most likely going to break downwards from the triangle. But we do have a good support here on this fib line. And you can see that it actually was tested there twice within the symmetrical triangle, and look at all this resistance that it held here. So mostly sitting back and waiting. I may do a little bit of scalp trading, just trying to make a little bit here and there with some high leverage, but we're just waiting to see what happens. If we get above this line here, the top line, and we can find some confirmation, that would be the time to potentially long XRP, because you can see that we had our big pump, like wave 1, 2, 3, and then we had our 3, 4, 5 down, right? And then we came back up, and now it looks like we have a little bit of a W, so it does want to break up. Remember, the exchanges in the US are still delisting. News could come out tomorrow that says, you know, hey, not a security, and it'll go through the roof. But same with that, if this gets drug out, the second that people can't sell it and do things like that, we could see a dump again, right? So if you haven't taken profits on XRP, maybe a chance to take a little bit of them. You know, yes, if we see another little pump up out of this triangle, we could see from bottom to top measured move. Oops. We could see, let's say we break out down here, and we could see 40 to 45 cent XRP. I like to do both measured moves to see which one is more likely. Let's just say we extend the measured of the triangle. We break out here. You know, this brings us up to 40, 41 cents. And if we scroll back out here, we can try to see what lines up with previous. So right here, it lines up almost perfect with previous support or resistance from before. So I would say if we did break out, the 41 is more likely, but we could also do a fib line going up to kind of see what is more likely. So for right now, I would say hold tight. If you haven't taken profits and you bought down here at 20 cents, maybe take a little bit of profits. If you want to ride it out, ride it out. But that's going to do it for today. Oh, actually, I did have one question as far as Litecoin and the Flare network. So the way the Flare network works is it takes any type of coin or crypto asset, anything like that, and it makes it interoperable with other blockchains. So in the case of Flare, with FXRP, it turns any asset into a F token. So with Litecoin, it's basically doing the same thing you could with XRP with Litecoin. So you would have FLTC, and that makes a trustless contract between Flare and then another network. So it brings basically the smart contract capabilities of Ethereum, and you can use it now using XRP instead of having to have Ethereum to do whatever you're trying to do with the smart contract. If you're trying to, so if you have Litecoin now, from what I understand, they're allocating some of the Spark to distribute to Litecoin holders if they want to use the Flare network. And it basically is just, the whole goal of Flare is just interoperability and making sure the blockchains can work together. It uses a, what was the term? I can't remember the term off the top of my head, but it comes down to the Byzantine agreement that XRP ledger uses, and then combines that with the fact that there's a trustless agent in the middle. So if you put XRP onto the Flare network, you get FXRP, and then the FXRP can now be used to do something else. And with the trustless agreement, nobody in the middle needs to know anything more. Your address is nothing, because it basically makes a copy of your token, and it allows scalability. So it's just going to bring a lot of interuse between all the different blockchains and make it scalable. Because that's the problem with things like Ethereum, anything with proof of stake. If to keep the network secure with proof of stake, the value of the token has to go up. So the higher the value of the token, at some point somebody owns a higher amount of the initial entity that controls it. So the higher you get, so say in 10 years, Ethereum could technically not be as decentralized as we'd like, because whoever holds the most Ethereum could, in a sense, be able to make changes. So this is why there's a transition between proof of work to proof of stake with ETH 2.0, but still having some of the miners involved. But all right, I hope that answered your question. If you have any more, let me know in the Discord, and I will catch you guys in the next one.